Lesson 7.5, percent of change. Percent of change is how much a quantity has increased or decreased from the original amount. You can have a percent of increase in which the new amount is greater than the original amount, or a percent of decrease where the new amount is less than the original amount. Use the following equation to find the percent of change. Take the amount of increase or decrease divided by the original amount. Example 1. Find a percent of decrease. In 2000, a town's population was 1,260. In 2006, the population was 1,050. What is the percent of decrease in the town's population? We need to find the amount of decrease. So we take 1,260 and subtract 1,050. Think of it as take the bigger number minus the smaller number, and then divide by the original amount. The original amount was, in 2000, 1,260. You have 210 divided by 1,260, which is 1/6. You can write this fraction as a percent. So now you know the percent of decrease. About 16.7%. So the population decreased by 16.7%. Remember to write the fraction as a percent. Begin by writing the fraction as a decimal. So you have to go from a fraction to a decimal to a percent. In example 2, a real estate agent sells 32 properties one year. The next year, the agent sells 54 properties. Find the percent of increase. Again, take the bigger number, subtract the smaller number, and divide by the original amount. The bigger number in this case was 54, subtract 32. The original amount was the starting year, and that original amount was 32. 54 minus 32 is 22. Take the fraction and divide. 11/16, remember to write it as a decimal first. Okay, so we go from a fraction to a decimal and then to a percent, which is 68.75. It was an increase of 68.75%. We use percent of increase, or percent of decrease, percent of change a lot when we're talking about how our business is growing, or are we losing business. So we can make sense or make judgments about what we need to do to improve, or how we can, or if we're doing well and improving in our business. Tell whether the change is an increase or decrease. In order to find the percent of change, remember big minus small over original. Well, the original is 80, and we went to 60. So this is a decrease. Pause the video and try 1, 2, and 3. You want to take 80 minus 60 over the original amount, 80. Make sure you change your decimal to a percent. It is 25%. For number 2, we have an increase, because the original to the new increased. Take the bigger number, 40, subtract the smaller number, all over the original amount, 25. 60% was your percent of change. Number 3 is an increase. 64 minus 48. over the original amount, 48. It's an increase of 33.3%. Let's talk about using a percent of increase. 2 years ago, your savings account balance was $492.19. Since then, the balance has increased 32.6%. What is the current balance? To figure out this, we need to take my percentage and multiply it by how much was in my savings account. Because that 32.6% is of the 492, so we are multiplying. Change your percent to a decimal, because you can't put that into a calculator. You can't multiply until it's a decimal. Now multiply it together and you have $160.45. Now this is just the increase. This is how much it increased. So this is not my current balance. I'm just saying that I took my balance 2 years ago and I added $160.45. So now we need to add those two numbers together and you get $652.64. Again, when we're using the percent of increase, we want to find the increase or decrease, depending on what it is, and we want to find the original amount by adding or subtracting. If it's decreasing, we would subtract. Okay, so again, if you're using the percent of change, if it's increasing, you're going to add. If it's decreasing, you're going to subtract the amount to find the current amount or the new amount.